Hello, this is First Fire Non-Assault Move. Welcome back to the 25th video in the War in the East series. Let's get a situation report, and a good S2 will always brief the weather and its effects on the mission to the commander, and the commander is going to like what he hears. Clear weather and ground conditions solid. Yes, indeed. It is the first week of May 1942, and I executed 3 to 4 turns offline. All of those turns, the weather conditions were mud. Let's check out the weather zones. During one of those turns, I believe it was, yeah, it was South Soviet Zone was clear during one of those turns. It was a blizzard in the North Soviet Zone, and it was mud in the Central Soviet Zone. But there was a clear, 1 week of clear. Oh, I was wondering what was going to happen there with the Soviets. We didn't do anything because we were still building up and arraying our forces, but the Soviets didn't attack in those clear areas. And largely, well, not largely, the Soviets did not attack during any of those mud weeks. So neither side attacked, no offensive operations during those mud turns, just like we realized any offensive operation in mud was pointless in 1941. So for 3 or 4 turns, just staring across the front at each other, building up, planning what the next stages of the war will bring on either side. All right, so let's take a grand view of what the front looks like at this point. Has not changed since the last video about 4 weeks ago, about a month ago. Once the snow relented, it was mud, and the front therefore did not shift. And the problem that posed us, the way this front ended up looking like, it did not present us an easy, a clear place naturally along this front where to conduct an offensive operation with the goal of encircling and destroying Soviet formations. Yeah, there's a little bow here where the Soviets have their own salient, but based on terrain and forces available, nothing's going to happen here. So, looking at almost a straight line along the front of Army Group North and Center, we're going to have to create our own encirclement out of thin air, out of nothing. So, with that in mind, during the lull in offensive operations and not being pressured to defend, we've been building up, been doing constant airdrops, improving our rail line, our rail lines, and our supply lines to the best of our ability, so that if we take a peek, let's just select these 2 divisions. Look at the percentages across the supplies, fuel, and ammo. You know, almost rivaling June 22nd, 1941 levels, right? And that was relentless airdrops across my front until I ran out of cargo space and planes to drop supplies each and every turn. Something I didn't do in 1941, which we mentioned a while back. So, as we arrayed our forces, we got them in good supply. We got them into the best position as we could. On that note, let's quickly talk about railhead and rail capacity. Okay, railheads first. We looked at our rail network a couple times over the past couple of videos, and it's only gotten better. Oh, stop that. It's only gotten better. Our autonomous railroad repair engineers have been hard at work, as well as the 4 manual railroad repair engineer units that I can control. Mostly it's in reaction to partisans. This last week, I chased them off already, but there had to be about 10, roughly 10 or 12 partisans this turn, and they obviously are going for our rail lines, so if they pop up adjacent or on top of the rail lines, they're going to do some damage to them. So there's these little orange blemishes amidst the green that I send my railroad repair engineers to fix that, maintain contiguous rail hexes from Germany, the fatherland, up to the front as best we can. But we cannot appear out of nowhere like the partisans do to fix rail lines. We have to actually travel there. So this is going to be a problem for the rest of the war, but we're dealing with it, and overall it looks pretty darn good. So that is that. What was the other item I was going to talk about? Oh, rail capacity. For the last 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even 5 now, our rail capacity has been greatly reduced. And that's disappointing because, number one, I wanted to use the rail network to shift my Panzer Corps into more advantageous positions behind my front, where we were going to start our offensive. I was unable to do that, so due to mud and snow, they just remained in place. And there's a reason for that. I moved one motorized, or one Panzer Corps, one Panzer Division, sorry, like 3 or 4 hexes in the mud. I believe it was the 8th. And he had about 100% fuel. It went down to about 20% fuel, just traveling 40 miles. So it just destroyed our fuel reserves. Just going a handful of hexes. So since the weather turned bad, our Panzer Corps have not really moved very much. So they're not in the best positions to open up our spring-summer offensive. But that's all right, because it's clear weather, solid ground now, and the distances they're going to need to travel to get into position for the attack, the fuel that will be burned doing that is going to be far, far less than trying to do that during mud conditions. All right, so that's one problem I ran into by not having enough rail capacity to keep the Panzer Corps on the rail lines, and then position them behind the front that way, sparing ourselves fuel and supplies and wear and tear on our tanks. So, not really understanding. I looked at it a little bit. Obviously, inclement weather affects logistics across the board, whether land, air, or sea. So that is one contributing factor for a greatly reduced rail capacity. However, I think I was a bonehead. If you remember last few videos, maybe several videos, I had some of our tanks sitting with some of our Panzer divisions had this rail icon over them. And it was more than one division, it was probably 4 or 5. And because I didn't want to move a single hex and burn half my fuel to go 10 miles in snow or mud, I kept them on the rails. And I think the inner workings of the game realized I did not detrain, and it was tying up those rail cars with my stupid tanks sitting on them week after week. with our railroads, our rail cars not being able to do anything else because our tanks are sitting on them. And like an idiot, you can unload a unit from train by just clicking this button. I didn't have to move out of the hexed D train. So yeah, I think I screwed myself there. And what impact does that have? Well, we already talked about not being able to use a railroad network to reposition my Panzer Corps for the offensive coming up. I also was not able to. These 3 infantry divisions have been sitting here for about 2 to 3 weeks. I couldn't even move a single one because I had no rail capacity. So they could have already been at the front had I removed my panzers from the railroad, which I didn't do. And also, some Hungarian forces have also freed up. I've clicked through them every single week, hoping some would be released to support the war effort. And yeah, there's 5, 6, maybe I think 7 Hungarian divisions, and that's awesome. Hey, every little bit counts, every rifle counts. So they could have been at the front, probably too. Good news out of that, we do have reinforcements coming eventually, but they are not contributing to the fight now. And my Panzer Corps are not at the best, not positioned where I really would have liked to have them. Alright, so let's take a closer look at what's going on along the front and how it relates to our plans. The Soviets, have I done this region yet? Let's do this. Well, for Army Group North, Soviets facing Army Group North, they have not reinforced Army Group North, their own forces in Army Group North's area of operations, and there is no operational reserve really to be seen. If clear weather and our AR Recon does a pretty good job spotting Soviet troop concentrations in the rear, and there's not much to speak of. And during the course of all those airdrops for the past 2.5 months, I was relentless. I used every single plane and air balloon I had to drop supplies to my troops so that we could get at these pre-war levels, pre 1941 June 22nd levels. So we have some strong forces, strong infantry divisions lined up who have remained in place and are nice and fortified. Let's take a quick look again at the fort levels. So we are at least fort level 1, sometimes in some places fort level 2, and even a fort level 3. So we could easily defend here, but we're not going to just defend. The plan is, I am definitely overstrength here, because we are not going to attack the Soviets head on, and that'll achieve nothing, because they'll just retreat. So I'll probably reassign a few of these infantry divisions to this sector and attach them to the corps that are going to be conducting offensives. So we are going to attack along this sector, take Pskov, and at the very least reach the Gulf of Finland and cut off these forces that the Soviets have moved in the Tallinn region. And we talked about a little about that, and if it looks really good, we will reinforce that effort and make a go for Leningrad. That is a secondary effort, though. The main effort, let's move down here, was to create encirclement on our own somewhere along from Vitebsk south to really Chernikov. There's a lot of opportunities all across this front. So we could, we had talked about attacking in the Vitebsk area as the northernmost pincer, linking up at Vyazma. We had talked about the southern pincer being roughly in the Bryansk sector of the front, and meeting up at Vyazma, the northernmost and the southernmost pincers meeting up at Vyazma and encircling almost the entire Soviet army, really, along Army Group, part of Army Group North, all the way down to Army Group Center area of operations. So that, I think, is an unreasonable plan, one that we would not achieve easily, if at all. So instead of the grand encirclement, right off the bat, we are going to look for some shaping operations. I could attack here, south of Smolensk, for the northernmost pincer, and our southernmost pincer still remaining in the Bryansk sector, and encircling these Soviet formations. And did I do aerial recon here? Let's do it again anyways. Yeah, they do have some operational reserves, just some pockets and some stragglers. But once a breakout is achieved, I think very rapidly we could get behind them into the deep area and form an encirclement somewhere around here. I'm leaning more towards where our tanks naturally are arrayed, where they ended up after the mud cleared. So we have the 24th Panzer Corps, who now is commanded by the indomitable Bulk. And we have the 37th, which is commanded by, oh, hey, sorry, one north, the 57th, which is commanded by Huba. So these divisions these two Panzer Corps are kind of out of position, unfortunately. And I wasn't going to move them, definitely not across the Dvina and burn all kinds of fuel. And I didn't have the rail capacity. So they're kind of positioned to do that far-fetched attack in the Vitebsk area across this land bridge that we had success in 1941. And we have the 57th positioned, and then we have the 37th positioned. So they're squared up behind the front, but they're not in ideal positions for either of the northernmost pincer. To support a northernmost pincer, they're not really in the best positions. So I'm thinking, while I get these Panzer Corps in position for future operations, we do have the 24th, we have the 30th, and we have the 31st, the 39th, and the 36th. So again, these Panzer Corps are not in ideal position. I'll step back a little bit. We were able to array our infantry divisions into attack positions. So we're stacked up, and like I said, we supplied them as best we could throughout Look at that, 121 fuel for an infantry division. That's great. 100% ammo. So we could attack across the breadth of the front, but where is the Schwerpunkt going to go? So I think we have to lean towards where our panzers are best set up right now for our first shaping operation. That means this is the natural spot, right? We have a lot of combat power right here. So it'd just be 2 Panzer Corps for the north. We could bust out here, and maybe meet at Bryansk. That would be like a phase 1 shaping operation. And once that has culminated, maybe in a month's time, still would only be June, we would have by then moved these 3 Panzer Corps roughly in this region. So then we would attack through here. And first we want to definitely get the Soviets out of their fortifications. So we're going to have to bang our head against a wall against some of these Soviets because we can't let them to continue to dig in. So that'll be some preliminary attacks across the front just to get them out of their trench works and their bunkers. Anyway, so phase 2, once we have those 3 Panzer Corps roughly south of Smolensk, and we have the bulk of our southernmost pincer, the bulk of phase 1 done, which would comprise basically 5 Panzer Corps in this area. Then we could think of breaking out here, and our jumping off point would be around Bryansk and getting an encirclement here. The only problem I'm seeing is that if we have a great amount of success and we essentially have reached the Desna, taken Bryansk, and we have a strong force lined up either over the Desna or south of it, these divisions of the Soviets are going to beat feet and retreat. So, which would kind of thwart an attempt to encircle them. So that's an issue. At that point, we're kind of left with a strong force here, a very strong force here, just like following, trailing, retreating Soviets as they give up their positions so that they won't get encircled. But maybe not. Maybe they will remain in place. But we have to do something, and the opening salvo, where we are naturally positioned with our tanks, is in this position and this position. And not to throw in any more considerations, if this goes well in the north, one of these Panzer Corps will be routed to help the exploitation and maybe, crazily enough, maybe threaten Leningrad. So not ideal. Not ideal. The weather is ideal, the ground conditions are ideal. But we're kind of messy right now. Kind of in a mess how we ended up once the mud cleared. But we're going to do the best we can with how we are positioned. So I don't want to waste effort. I don't want to needlessly expend fuel, ammunition, supplies to really not achieve much if this peters out. You know what? We won't even attack here right off, because in doing so, that will really spook the Soviets. So if we have a phase 2, I guess it will be 3 phases. We'll break out, probably cross the Sudost, get south of Bryansk, because we have these panzers here. I hate to jump around, but I was thinking, should I pry away one of these Panzer Corps and shift them back down to Army Group South, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. We still have the 3rd, and we have the 14th, I believe. The 14th is still down here, as is the 38th Panzer Corps. That could go down south, but we don't have any real offensive, grand offensive designs for Army Group South. Just to press forward, 11th Army has been greatly supplied and reinforced, and they're fresh. And they are going to push the Soviets. And even with infantry, I think we can get maybe a little bit of encirclement, because we still have the 3rd Panzer Corps here, and at least reach the Dnieper. At least get there and threaten Dnipropetrovsk. Yeah. So, with that being said, the 14th Panzer Corps, where do we send them? We could break out here as well, kind of a secondary offensive, and relieve some pressure and shorten our front in the south, and get back up to the Poltava-Sumy line, and in the future take Kharkov. We will take Kharkov. So a lot to consider. What we have to do is make a decision. No decision is waffling on decisions worth in a bad decision. So what we'll do first is get some. What are their forts looking like? All ones. That's okay. Ones and zeros. We need to get off on our right foot here with this offensive, and it's going to be a shaping operation, and we will at least break out in the Bryansk area. Opening salvo right here. We naturally have our Panzer Corps arrayed in very strong infantry divisions. Oh, not to mention, I had pulled out rail capacity. I wanted to move these 2 divisions and also their headquarters north to support our main offensive in Army Group Center's area of operations, but again, rail capacity. All right, so that's what's going to happen. Opening salvos here. Do we want to capture some of this on film? Let's do so. I think. Who will fire the first rounds? 293rd Infantry Division from 53rd Corps. What are we facing? They are fort level 1. We might be able to, let's at least get one. First shots fired. We'll do a deliberate. Should be able to get a retreat. Yes, indeed. All right. Not that many losses for either side. 40. So it's only on 54. Wow. What were they defending with? 9,000? Yeah, they gave ground rather than take any losses. So, huh. It's interesting. I thought they would incur more casualties. All right. Hey, success. And 293rd. What did that do for us? 86% after one deliberate, 68% fuel. Not too bad. Not too bad. We are not going to worry about these. Well, you know what? Tank divisions, these tank brigades, they have not defended very well historically. It's because we want at least a 10, 20, 30, 40, at least a 40-mile front here. It's gonna be a it's gonna be a gaping hole here. All right, let's go with 46th Infantry Division against against the 327th Rifle Division. Alright, moving them out of position, getting them out of their forts. Do we have enough juice? No, only for deliberate, hasty. So we'll switch over to 267th. Alright, out of their fortifications. Let's move in. Are we going to attack these forces here? We could just surround them, because I think we'll be able to move out these forces here. Alright. You hold the flank. Uncommitted. No fort level. Fort level 0. Uh-oh. They held. Okay. There's a tank corps there. Okay, I can't. Neither. This will be hasty. Each one will be hasty. We're gonna save our ammo. We are not going to hasty these. Julie. Well, let's see how this goes first. Fort level 0. Are we brazen enough to attack with 1? I think so. Just getting a few of the attacks. Salvos. Alright. Good job. Good job. That was the 78th. Great work. These are fresh Soviet divisions. They didn't attack for about 4 or 5 weeks when it was mud and snow. Greatly reduced offensive op tempo of the Soviets as the winter wound down. So they're fresh. So we are going to... It's not going to be... It's going to be... You're going to have to earn this. Is there a need to attack this? I don't think so. Could do that. No, that's a waste. Alright. Deliberate. Gotta get him on the run. Alright, so this looks like our initial penetration here. Just thinking, we should just totally not even attack these forces here and push up. Oh yeah, I'm thinking here. Okay. Yeah, do we not even attack these forces here and just shift and attack north and east. All right, I don't want to belabor this on camera. So that is the plan. We are going to attack north and east towards Bryansk, and then consequently we will attack with the 24th and the 30th. Panzer, where are you, 30th? I know you're here somewhere. 30th Panzer Corps through here, just to get an initial shaping operation to put us in position to get a grander encirclement, more than likely in this area of operations. All right, I am going to get back to you and conduct the bulk of the moves off camera. If anything intriguing or exciting, this is all exciting, but you know, any significant developments, I'll make sure I capture it on. So it'll be some content for you to watch. Okay, I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Let's get a situation report. Here we're looking at Army Group North, but some opening remarks. So we know ahead of time we're dealing with a Soviet army that has received an immense amount of reinforcements starting, well, really at the end of 1941, when historically they started to rail in formation after formation out of the depths of Mother Russia. And those forces, those Soviet forces, were part of the Soviet Winter Offensive for 1941, and although they took tremendous losses, none of their divisions were destroyed. So we're dealing with an incredible troop count that the Soviets are fielding. And it wasn't all rosy. The Soviets had those 3 to 4 weeks of mud, of inactivity to dig in and get settled in to their trenches and their bunkers and their concealed positions. So overall, it was tough going, which I kind of expected. Well, I expected a little better results, but we had to get them out of their comfort zone. We had to give them a bloody nose and some gut punches and really disrupt their lines and get them fragment their front, is what I'm trying to say, which we did in several places, which I'm pleased about. And I wasn't planning on attacking from the tip of Army Group North to the bottom of Army Group South. No widespread attacks across the front. These were opening salvos to start some shaping operations around where our main lines of effort are going to be. And here we're looking at what we accomplished. Doesn't look like much, but there was a lot of attacks that took place here. Yeah, just get a look at that. And it was not easy. Again, the Soviets had at least Fort Level 1, Fort Level 2 in some places. And they were stacked up. They had a numerical superiority during some of our attacks. So it was not easy. But good news is we've ruptured this part of their front, pushed them back. Unfortunately, towards Pskov, but we can bypass that. And the 56th Panzer Corps did not attack. We just brought them up adjacent to the Soviet forces here, and next week we will be committing them to the offensive. And all our infantry overall did an incredible job where they attacked, and they exhausted themselves. But they got the job done. They pushed the Soviets out of their fortified positions, and now it will be easier going. And we are planning on a snowball effect from here. So no attacks here. I'm going to offline revisit the forces that I have defending here, because the Soviets, seeing what's happening here, are not going to attack. They're actually going to probably pull back. So it's probably overkill defensively, the forces I have here. And that was in response to the threat that the Soviets are posing during their winter offensive. But now I'm going to have to array them a little differently and reinforce this effort around Pskov. No attacks here. No, they are just holding the front, holding the line, digging in. We made some initial attacks where there was just single Soviet divisions defending around this land bridge. Just a couple. They were successful. It didn't amount to much, but now there's a threat to these Soviets that are feeling the presence of German formations to the north of them, and I imagine they will pull out, which is okay. We'll straighten our line. We are not looking to execute any offensives through here just yet. We held off because these forces were not part of phase 1 for the shaping operation, so they are completely fresh, and I don't plan on encircling. These Soviet formations are not a part of my plans for the first encirclement. So if they pull back, that's great. They will lose their fort level 2 status. If they do, and I'll just follow close behind on their heels. I moved the 37th Panzer Corps south. It was poised up here, and the move cost me, probably about a third of my fuel. I did an airdrop, a fuel drop. I can show you with this, not that. So I refueled them, and then they're now at 70%. The 57th is now 37th, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 37th is now at 70%, and next turn after the logistics phase, I expect they'll be in the 80s. So I can commit them to this line of effort right here, and this is the biggest news right here. And this was not easy, I tell you. You can see all these Soviet formations here that are, their status is red and orange. Oh yeah, they held out more than I would have liked, so I had to commit more of my infantry divisions to the attack, and I didn't pry open this part of the front like I had expected. I think you might have heard me say wildly successful. Well, this is the first week, and this was definitely going to be the very hardest week of the offensive. I committed 3 Panzer Corps, yes 3, into this puncture in the Soviets' line. The 39th, the 36th, and wait, was it only 2? Oh, I stand corrected. It was only 2. It was only 2 Panzer Corps that were right here. They were still kind of out of position a little bit, and we had talked about that a little while ago because I didn't want to move them too much during mud and burn tons and tons of fuel, literally. So they had a ways to go to reach the front and bypass the attacking infantry, so their progress wasn't as profound as I had hoped, but this is what we achieved, and we routed a number of their formations, the Soviets' formations, and we overran a few airfields. So that's great, and we're in a position off the first week. Not a bad result. Potentially surrounding, I have a feeling, more than I would like of these Soviet formations are going to be able to sneak through here. but we're exerting strong zone of control, and they have to break out of zone of control and move. So maybe not all 3, 6, 9, 12 divisions will be destroyed next turn, but maybe 8 to 9, I'm thinking. Maybe these 3 will get away and maybe a couple here, but they will be completely out of position and very vulnerable for the next week that's preceding this one, as our offensive kicks in to a higher gear. All right, before we talk about, okay, well, we can continue with this area of operations. So where are they going to go from here? Well, that depends what the Soviets do. We will be adaptable. What we want to do is continue to get little smaller encirclements like that during these first couple of weeks of May, these shaping operations, and bite off some chunks. You know, you gotta eat an elephant one bite at a time, and this is what we're doing. I had hoped to, if the going wasn't so tough, we would have been able to pry open the front, and it would have been another 3, 6, 9, maybe even 12 divisions. Added another 9 to this 12. So almost 20 divisions we might have encircled off the first go, which is not bad. So from here, as I had mentioned, as part of phase 1, we'll be in the vicinity of Bryansk, a little north of that, and we didn't attack the Soviets here, so I'm hoping they're going to remain in place and try to plug the holes here, which we will definitely be able to break open easier than when they had all that time to dig in and get into position. Now they are retreating in disarray, so that is great. So more than likely, our axis of advance will be north of Bryansk. We got to get over the Desna. Here we go again. All these rivers to cross, these minor ones even, but they still cost a lot of movement factors to get across, and it definitely advantage for the Soviets defending across on the other bank. So attacking north of Bryansk, and again just going north and east to hopefully then launch the second phase of our shaping operation here south of Smolensk and surround and get some of these Soviets in a pocket and meet up probably a little south of Vyazma. So that's the first 2 phases of our offensive, just some small shaping operations, and that is definitely going to shake loose the Soviets from their comfortable trenches and bunkers. And I imagine once the Soviets see what's happening down here in the south, they're going to start pulling forces where they really have them concentrated east of Vitebsk. So we'll see how that goes. Again, minor to moderate success, but we're attacking. The ground is solid. The skies are clear, and it's only the first week of the offensive. Only the first week of May. Moving down. Oh yeah, these, you can just look, exhausted themselves. Fuel, lower ammo, loads and loads of attacks. That just gives you an idea of the effort and the attacks that took place. Not much to show for it right now, but this is the first steps towards greater things. Moving down here, all quiet. Pointing out that I did not commit the 14th or the 38th Panzer Corps. Not yet. Like I said, I wasn't planning on attacking the breadth of the entire front. There's no point. And it's kind of a Met TC right now. What are the Soviets going to do when they find out what's happening to the north of them and to the south of them? Because ironically, take a look at this. This is after aerial recon. There are even less Soviet forces in the south than there are in the north. And already we've made them retreat in a few places here, just shaping things up. A little bit of a gap has formed here with 3rd Panzer Corps and supporting infantry. And I think we could roll up from Kirovgrad south all the way down to the Crimea. Because, hey, the Romanians got some vengeance, I tell you. They had some good success forcing the Soviets to withdraw here and there. Hey, I'll take it. Good for them. And we outnumber the Soviets. I mean, do you think we would ever utter a sentence like that? Outnumbering the Soviets in this area. And there's nothing behind them to support. So, if anything else, if they start to get in trouble, they will pull forces from other parts of the front, which will benefit us in those other parts of the front. Yes, indeed. So that's about it. You know, I'm gonna go around and see what things I need to tidy up. I did my railroad repair. We know our rail cap is nothing we can do as far as using our rail capacity this week. So that's one checklist. No reinforcements to bring in. Can't use a rail line to shuffle forces. Everybody is, last I checked, just a little while ago, in command and control. I am not going to reposition the 57th Panzer Corps. Not just yet. The Soviets start to pull troops back in the land bridge. We're going to maybe press on. But there's not much one Panzer Corps can do in a sea of brown here. So they're either going to go north. 57th is either going to go north or south. More than likely not going to have any conduct any operations in the land bridge here. All right, so command and control, no more shuffling of forces. We did all the attacks that we're going to do. Look at the losses. Not great. I mean, we're on the short end of some of these deliberate attacks and hasties that I tried. The Soviets did a great job. They defended very well. They were dogged, and it took a lot of effort to move them. Not too high in the tank losses, because the bulk of the attacks were done with the infantry. Just prying open the front, the parts of the front that we needed to have pried open for our tanks to pour through. If this you could even call pouring, maybe a trickle. The pour is yet to come. So, yeah, we moved everybody. I think we may be close to clicking next turn, but yeah, there's a lot to think about and a lot to look at, so I don't feel comfortable clicking next turn. I may do it offline because I want to go off camera again and look around to make sure there is nothing I missed. Because these are some crucial turns, not game-changing turns, not war determining turns, but definitely important first couple of weeks here. Yeah. There are so many divisions bunched up. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. And Yeah, that's a nice fresh Panzer Corps with, believe, thought you had 4. You do have 4. Oh, did I leave you behind? I think we left our infantry division behind. Yeah, we did. Uh-oh. Can't keep up. All right, who are we going to attach him to? I already have 4. Yeah. 4. Yeah. I don't want to tie down. 57th. Doggone it. Where were you? Oh, boy. Here you are. All right, someone's going to have 5 divisions to command. What's his admin? Oh, he's 7. Okay, I think he can handle 5. We'll attach. Oh, we'll attach the 205th Infantry Division to, what was it, 50th Corps? Yeah. All right. Very good. Okay, so yeah, we got 4 Panzer divisions. 17th, 5th. Oh, 3, I'm sorry. And 23rd to commit. Yep. We could probably add one because I think some of these divisions here, some of these corps here have 5. Yeah, I don't need to do this on camera. It's just a lot of clicking around. Yeah, I don't think I missed anyone. I think I have moved everybody that could be moved, and then I want to move. So, getting closer and closer to a next turn decision. But I wanted to give you this update. I'm going to step aside one last time, and then maybe let's do the Soviets' turn on camera, because that's going to be very, very interesting to see how they react. And I'll be back. All right. No reinforcements to rail in. Everything that I went through is in command and control. Maybe someone I've missed, but I'm not going to go through the 5th or 6th time. No partisans to chase off. Did all the supply drops I could do. Are there no more partisans? Let's look around here for a second. Don't think so. Yeah, we got them all. All right. Okay, so partisans been chased off. Really, there's not much left to do except hit the next turn. Let's do that together. Can't believe already the most highly, so highly anticipated, waiting and enduring the winter offensive, the Soviet winter offensive. Finally get it to first week of May, and not a bang, a little bit of a fizzle, but hey, this is just round 1 of the offensive. We will be positive about this. All right. Soviet. Okay, so first off, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna try to escape, obviously here. They're going to plug as much as they can here. I think this rupture in their lines is going to potentially have them start to retreat east. South of Smolensk, this line here. This line of resistance. Land bridge, will they attack? I doubt it. If they do, I'm not worried about it. There's a chance that the Soviets along this main line of resistance of theirs in the north will start to pull back. And these formations here more than likely are not combat units, but they are going to scramble and probably use this to their advantage and defend along this crappy terrain. And how we do in the next couple of weeks is going to determine if we commit the 57th North or not. All right, let's go. Oh, in the south. Yeah, the south. They're going to retreat. They are going to start pulling back. Yes, they are. If not, good. We'll maybe get a little 4 to 5 to 6 division encirclement once the 3rd Panzer Corps frees up and 11th Army springs into action. All right. All right, here we go. Curious where they'll attack. A little more, less curious than where they're going to pull back. Oh, and also we encountered our first tank corps of the Soviets. We had talked about how they transitioned from the cumbersome tank divisions to tank brigades and then finally settling on tank corps. So we ran into a couple of those, and they had one as a reserve that was helping out on a couple of the attacks we made against Soviet infantry. Contributed to their holding out so well, I'm sure. So that's nice that Soviet commanders are making use of reserves. Yeah, look at that. They are starting to pull out already. Oh, look at here. Oh, they're trying to get out. I hope no more get away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5, 8. We may get around 10 divisions there encircled. Not bad. Little. Oh, where did they come from? That's okay. That kind of plays into our hands, actually. The land bridge. Oh, this is. Although it looks ominous, this is kind of good news that the more they attack, the less they will retreat out of our attempts at encirclement. Very good. It's a little different from their behavior from 1941. It's interesting. I think they still have some of that 1941 winter mojo. We're going to have to knock it out of them. And that should be it. Oh, usually when you hear those cartwheels at the end, that's when they complete their turn. All right. Check out the losses screen. Well, we're in a fight these first couple of weeks of the offensive. But we will break the ice, pun intended. We lost 100 tanks. We lost 34. Still fueling those Panzer IIs and the 38Ts. But we're starting to move into primarily our Panzer III variants. Yes. All right. Well, that's it. That is... How does this... Take a quick... What? Oh, no. I did not anticipate this. Oh, no. Oh. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to affect this here. No. Mud. Yeah, it's still early, I guess. It was a horrific winter, and still ice level 4 further north and east. So, still thawing, melting in some parts. And rains. So we got some mud going on. Yeah. Alright. I was surprised at their stubbornness in the south. That's alright, though. That is alright. I think we're going to break open the center once the 11th Army comes online. To get over the Ingul River, though. Interesting. And where was that? They're already counterattacking in the north here. Right here. Huh. That's interesting. But they just left single divisions. Alright. Yeah, just looking this over. I'll examine it in more depth, obviously, but not on camera. And we will start the next video with our plans and getting done the admin moves prior to starting the fighting. But we're going to end it here. First week of May, offensive, initial stages of our offensive have started. I'm just looking here. Initial successes. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. 14 divisions will probably destroy. Yeah, alright. Not bad. Oh. I think they shifted down. Yeah. Did they already do that? Sorry, keeping you tied up. I gotta see. Do an aerial recon. Yeah. They really reacted to this. We are, in front of Moscow after all, so this is do or die for the Soviets, really. They can't lose Moscow. Very interesting. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this next stage in the War in the East, 1942. what can we do in 1942? We'll see. It's only just begun for the Germans, and what impact we can have in these opening weeks of good weather and solid ground. Well, not so solid, mud, and great things to come. All right, I'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed. And I will catch you later. This is First Fire Non-Assault Move out.